This one asked, is L'Jarius Sneed the best cornerback on the team?
I'll take this one, Tucker. Yes, I do think
you.
L'Jarius Sneed's the best cornerback on the team. I think that Bashaud Breeland is probably the most consistent. I'd probably trust him a little bit more technically sound, I guess. But also, L'Jarius Sneed's done everything this year. He has burst onto the scene. He's gotten injured. He's been shifted to the inside and done well. He has had one bad rep that was notable. That was that touchdown last week against the Saints. Otherwise, the dude's always near the football. He has the size. He has the versatility. The guy played safety for a huge chunk of his college career. Like, he is a guy who has the athletic profile to be good. He has the solid size to be good, and he has what seems to be technicality. He's a smart guy. He's sound. He has the fundamentals. Like, I think L'Jarius Sneed, I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I think it's not really saying that he is great, but rather he is a pretty good corner at this point, and the Chiefs have a bunch of solid ones around him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to break from probably the thought of this podcast and go no, because it's the same logic that was used against Travis Kelce last year when people are talking about George Kittle was the best tight end. George Kittle had a great year, but he needed to do it more than that year to prove he was the best tight end. L'Jarius Sneed has played 6 career NFL games. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to prove it more than that to prove he's the Chiefs' best cornerback, because Bashaud Breeland has proved over multiple years he's a good cornerback. It's not like Sneed's top 5 in like PFF rankings for cornerbacks. Mm-hmm. He's top 20, and Breeland's somewhere around 25-30, which is he's decently ahead. But just the fact that Sneed's not even played the full year kind of just tells me I just need to see him do it more for me to put Sneed over Breeland.
And 2 things quickly before I pass it back to Tucker. That's definitely fair. I guess if the question was who is playing the best right now, I would say Sneed probably.
It's Sneed.
But that's a really good point about him having to prove it. And then secondly, we've been burned by Chiefs cornerbacks before who put out small sample sizes. Even Charvarius Ward, when his sample size wasn't as big, people were saying, oh, he's going to be pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And as the sample size gets bigger, these players turn back into who they are. Now, I think L'Jarius Sneed's going to be a good corner. I don't think that the sample size will hurt him, but we have seen that before. So that was my point that I was going to bring up.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a good thing you came up with that, because I wasn't going to come up with it. That's why we have Jordan on the podcast, to come up with the good points.
Cut it out.
So let's move on to the third question. For the record, I agree with both of you guys, but I guess I would
pick a side, Tucker. Yeah, pick a side.
Oh my gosh. But if I play both sides, I can be right.
Because we actually disagreed here. So, I mean, we need the dissenting vote here.
I guess by the way that the question is worded, is L'Jarius Sneed the best cornerback on the team? Connor brought up some good points about, the sample size.
I'm tempted to just forego my vote.
No, Jordan, you're on the other side. We need more dissenting opinions on this podcast.
Connor brought up a great point. Like, I did not even think about that whole analogy with
Kittle
and Kelce, and how like sample size is important. I did not even think about that. So
yeah. So that's where I'm going. But if you have a need for Sneed, much like we do on this podcast, usually you can get that shirt at bit.ly/RTK shop.